Pro, NightMare, ByuN, Zoun. Most competitive, 1 versus 1 game. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio Live. GSL Season 1, Code S.
We are back, and it's time to do the losers match. ByuN versus NightMare is up next. And let's not forget, man, NightMare took a piece of Rogue in his best of 3. If you can beat Rogue in a game, you can beat anybody. Right now, he's got to beat ByuN.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're not entirely sure how NightMare is going to play here today because, you know, you had a couple of oof games and one really, really good game. So that's, you know, 66% of the time it's oof and like only 33% of the time he's a super Gosu. So like, what does that mean? Well, like, how is he going to play against ByuN?
But 33% of the time, it's super Gosu 100% of the time.
That's true. So it's really coin flip is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, Protosses are more afraid of Terrans than Zerg, so...
Yeah, well, Rogue filled us in on that one. That was a little insider info there.
That was the greatest interview since Maru destroyed a really hard group and said he played at 40%.
Guys, we are going to go to Hardwire. One of these two players is about to be eliminated from the GSL as Zoun waits in the final match. ByuN vs NightMare, best of 3, starts now.
2022 GSL Season 1. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
It's cough.
Team Envy, NightMare.
You know, I can't stop thinking about that Rogue interview. And
Yeah.
like, I'm thinking to myself, like, you know what we should do, Tasteless, is when innovation gets out of the military, we need to sit Rogue and innovation down and just, like, make them have a conversation about balance on camera.
I think we should. I think
Like,
we
that
need
would be the greatest. That would be the. You know what? The funny thing is, they'd probably end up agreeing at the end that Protoss needs nerfs. Like, it'd be something like that.
Yeah, that would no doubt be a journey of truth to get to the core of what's really going on. Shining. I mean, that interview was just so funny to me. It's like, actually, they're even more afraid of the other race. I'm like, well, then what does this tournament mean? What about the thing that we're all counting?
Okay. NightMare going for some cheese here.
Some Ches.
Has a Zealot on the way. Cybernetics Core as well. ByuN getting in here and seeing double gas, so he knows something's up. Man center to the main base, a good choice. What do you think it's going to be? Stargate?
I think so.
Could be a Robo. That's an okay location for a Robo, I think.
Robo would be actually probably more exciting, but it's
it is
not.
Stargate,
Oh, boo.
okay. Oh, boo.
Oh, poo-poo on this game.
Now, but do you think it's a Void Ray?
Well,
Well, we don't care that he found it. It's fine.
let's see. Could
He's
the
looking for the probe.
Yeah. Can
'Cause
the Reaper kill the pylon in time?
This is so. It's such a funny little thing, right? Because like, if you really focus on trying to kill the pylon, then they just run up and make one, and the probe dies. But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get the pylon, so it's like not really worthwhile.
Watching a Reaper attack like a pylon is really a moment that kind of brings. You know, this is all sci-fi, but that really becomes too real. It's like me trying to destroy any building with a gun.
Yeah,
You know?
it's hard, especially with those
Like,
little
Nick,
handguns.
Tasteless, are you trying to destroy that outhouse? I'm like, yeah, I just have to go through about 60 more bullets before this thing is completely gone.
Okay, is this gonna be Twilight? Is he gonna go Oracle into Blink? Yeah, he is. I've seen Oracle into DT as well, but
Yeah.
when I see that, I just shake my head because it's like, doesn't the turret counter everything you're doing? One
Yeah.
missile turret? What if he
It's
makes
like-
a missile turret? You're like, oh, we go to game 2. That's what happens.
We hope he made a missile turret that can only shoot down is the thing.
And has no detection.
Yeah.
We'll see what it is. I guess it might really be DT, but
Well, we're going to see in a second here. Already, this has become a pretty
it is
hairy
DT.
game here. Both sides. Here we got an eBay block over at the Nat. Double tech here. Super fast ETs. Now again, when you spot that Stargate, that's occasionally when, you know, there's the temptation, especially if you're a pro, to get a little bit too greedy, right? You know, it's something we talk about from time to time, but it's kind of worth saying is like, there are things that won't work against bad players because bad players are sometimes trying to be too safe or just counter everything, where like a really good player is just going to like identify exactly what you can do and in their head think out, okay, if he's doing this and this, then I can probably get away with this and this.
Yeah.
And so let's try to do that.
Yeah.
What? Okay. And then that gets spotted.
yeah,
NightMare.
it is a nightmare.
This is a nightmare if you're him.
Well, he can
He's
always
gonna-
just cancel it
He's
again
going
like
to
he did
GG and
against
find
Ro.
out he's playing that game with no pants on right now,
Yeah.
Artosis.
And he cancels after getting the SCV out of there. I feel like we need to make a nickname for Nightmare at this point. Something about canceling the Dark Shrine. Call him Dark Cancel.
It's so dumb.
Or Fake Shrine, maybe?
Yeah.
That's his calling card, is to start a Dark Shrine but never finish it.
To then cancel it and GG out of the game. It's like sick.
I knew Dark Shrines took a long time, but Nightmare games, like he starts them in 2 minutes and finishes them at 30.
This is rough. I mean, you hit 2 buildings, 2 pylons, I should say, and both of the hidden techs got spotted. And I mean, if you're the Terran, you're getting more and more confident in your position here.
Yeah.
So Blink's going to be done.
ByuN's going to have to check on that Dark Shrine. We're trying to, at least. He's a single Marine. Won't be allowed. Third Nexus is coming up. At the natural, of course. And, I mean, there's no damage to be dealt. What do you think, Tasteless? How's it going?
I'm worried for our boy Cancel Shrine or whatever you called him.
Dark Cancel.
Dark Cancel, thank you. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to look at this game and think, like, all right, you know, how are you going to handle this against ByuN, who's sort of known for 2-base powering, right? Where you're just getting further and further behind. You have tech that's kind of, your tech's hanging out on the map. And I mean, we're going to have a pretty strong push coming up here. Blink is handy, but, you know, ByuN's already pretty tactful when he comes in here with these small groups of units. That 2-base push coming in here, NightMare might have a hard time staying alive, Artosis.
Yeah, this is a lot of units for ByuN. It's going to be pretty difficult on 3 bases here with just a few Blink Stalkers. It does start to go home. Has a couple sentries back there, but I mean, that's only going to buy a little bit of time. You know, I think like he's tagging, and tagging can be useful, but I feel like this is the type of situation where you definitely want a stasis ward out. You know, you want to catch half the army, and
Well,
like that's how you might actually win a battle here.
You need something, man.
Yeah, he's not really
Because-
giving himself many opportunities to actually win any sort of fight,
Well,
right?
you
Like
know-
tagging that doesn't make your army stronger or his weaker.
Yeah, you're just like, oh man, he's really coming at me.
Yeah.
Oh man, and
boy.
kind of miscontrolled that. The Zealots end up getting, you know, almost stopped before they were able to do what they needed to do. Really, the Zealots are supposed to come in after the main army starts to engage. Another warp in here. ByuN really not missing a beat here, even picks up some of that infantry on the outside.
Oh boy, it's getting worse and worse and worse right now.
Reinforcements are coming here. The batteries are depleted.
Yeah, some decent force fields come out right there.
And I mean, things are so softened up here. There's not that much energy on the medevacs anymore. So I guess ByuN decides to back off. But
yeah,
you know,
he's grinded so much down though. This is a very good position
in fact,
for him.
I'm a little bit surprised that the Protoss is pursuing this.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
like maybe he's just looking to pick off like hurt medevacs or something here, but definitely his army is not one that really wants to fight that right now. He does reinforce it a little bit, starts to move forward here once again. Another tag.
And just going to try to attack up here like this.
Yeah,
I mean, is this going to work out, man? Again, I feel like when you just have the Stalkers and the Zealots and a Sentry or two, you probably need to be close to home. I mean, the Terran army just kites better. That's why so much of this matchup is a build-up into splash damage for the Protoss.
Look at this, bringing him back into some mines here. It's just like a never-ending battle of Zealots being picked off.
Yeah, Protoss units getting whittled down.
Yeah. He's down 20 army supply right now. He's down in workers as well.
We've got the War Prism coming, but really we need to see the Colossi or Disruptors come out here.
Yeah, he
It
is
is a
getting a second
stylistic
robo,
thing.
so.
Yeah, so he's going to have a little bit more muscle here soon, but I think that ByuN's going to actually attack out again. I think he's really letting the income of that third base kick in here, and he's taking a fourth, and I think this is both a moment to kind of keep the Protoss off his back, but also look for any opportune moments to take a fight, which ByuN really is one of the best at in the whole world.
Well, NightMare's still macroing pretty well, has a decent amount of units here, but unfortunately his flanks are just not there. Losing more and more Zealots as ByuN micros back. Disruptors on the way. I think Disruptors are actually a much better call than Colossi here because the situation is a bit dire, so I think you need a little bit of luck on your side, right?
Yeah, or you need to have a connection that's going to really just obliterate that. I don't know if that's luck or not, but you need something, right? And you need
Disruptor
to make it
and a
happen.
dream, man.
Because, you know, if you're going to go with just Colossus, yeah, I mean, that might work in some straight-up fights, but I feel like ByuN's been so fluid here. Nice EMPs, pretty much everything. No more shields.
Yeah, throws down the overcharge, so we'll be able to heal a lot of this back up. He doesn't get the big hit he's looking for. This is getting very close to the end.
There's going to be another warp in here. The Sentry is going to put out some fresh force fields, but the juggling back is quite good here. And again, when these force fields disappear, actually ByuN backs up and loops around.
Yeah, his medevacs are low. There's no reason to just continually suicide in. Like, just reinforcing is making his army like so much stronger by comparison.
And this means that NightMare hangs on a little bit longer. Oh, what?
Wow.
Oh my God, he's gonna get to unload all that in there. Wow. And there's another attack coming up here that we're not watching. So, and this is the important one because it's going to go after all these important tech units like the Disruptors, which are basically completely exposed.
Oh, just getting that one in the nick of time. The Zealots charging into some of these mines here. And ByuN is winning on all fronts. I think NightMare's going to GG.
Game one's going to go to ByuN. NightMare, you know, he had a bumpy start, and that led to a pretty turbulent mid-game. ByuN takes it. And Zoun continues to wait. Again, NightMare, he got that win off of Rogue. He had a bad game one against Rogue, and he came back in game two and looked very strong. He needs to do that here now. And I do think ByuN is considerably more beatable than Rogue for NightMare.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Obviously, he got scouted on both of his sneaky techs.
Yep.
Does he fall back into more of a macro game? Or is he going to try something cheesy once again?
You know, it does seem like when NightMare tries to be cheesy and surprise players, it completely backfires. I wouldn't mind seeing him play a conservative game. I think ByuN's pretty much indicated he's okay two-basing in all these games.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the same ideas.
Fits his style. I mean, get a lot of units, micro them around, see what you can do. And it's going to keep you safe against a player like NightMare.
Pride of Alteris for game two starts now between ByuN and NightMare.
2022 GSL Season 1. Shopify Rebellion. ByuN. Team MB, NightMare.
What?
What?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
That is not something that you ever see.
Oh, God.
So he actually misses the hidden barracks back there. 2 probes being sent out in different directions, I think to scout for proxies. So ByuN's snap there of killing the probe is paying off so much, it's insane. Like, look at this. He's sacrificing such a huge amount of his economy.
2 probes is a lot, dude. And then
3
he's not going to
probes.
see anything, so he's like, oh my God, where is this proxy? Oh, is it 3?
Well, he lost
Oh, no, you
one.
killed one, excuse me. I was like, what?
Yeah, now he sent a 3rd one down the center.
Don't you see the 4th one that's also there, Tasus? I'm like, I feel like I'm going crazy. So, I mean, this honestly, that probe kill is unprecedented.
You
in
actually
GSL.
don't even see people try that anymore. I remember very specifically, people were trying to figure out if that was the right thing to do when anything went through your mineral line, like years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
And it basically, it's if you're just quick as the scout, you can get out of there, and
Yeah.
then there's a lot of lost mining time, so it's kind of not worth it because
Yeah.
you have to give your opponent some credit. But ByuN made the call, and I mean that hurts as NightMare. You look at it, you're like, that doesn't normally happen.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's a sick play by ByuN, but it's also humiliating for NightMare, right? I mean, he probably hasn't lost a probe like that in months. You know, in all the games.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer than that. Goes for the pylon block on the add-on.
Oh, I like that. It's kind of cool. You're going to cancel it, of course.
Yeah. Gonna start building cannons, Zeratosis. Have you lost it, man?
Dude, he just looked at that and he said, you know what? Let's just pretend this is a dark shrine.
So, ByuN staying on 1 base versus, you know, the quick expand here for NightMare into the Twilight Council. Couple tech options there. I can't imagine it's going to be DT again, especially against a 1 base, 1 base Terran.
I'm actually very excited to see if it is. No, I think you're right though. It's you would at least need to throw down a robo, right? You're not just gonna walk a DT across the map. Reaper jumps up. I like this. Oh man, things not going well for NightMare, unfortunately. Oh, oh, good save.
So it's going to be Blink Stalker. And I don't know. I mean, if I'm NightMare here, I'd probably try to play a pretty passive game. I don't think he's going to commit too hard with any Blink Stalkers. This is just sort of like the tech you're going to get to basically keep yourself safe.
Yeah. Should be taking the 3rd base with it. He has his probe in position. Definitely not a well-optimized game, unfortunately, for NightMare. But I mean,
you can still win. It's just you know, things like this just basically don't happen in GSL caliber games. So it's kind of a. I feel for NightMare. You know, he's getting broken into GSL pretty quick here for this season.
Yeah. Not an easy group. So right now, ByuN, very well defended. A couple Cyclones in that main mineral line. 3 barracks producing. But it's not a bad build here from NightMare, right? Like, nice quick 3rd Nexus, adding those gates, getting a Forge up to get a +1. And if he can just kind of parry the first couple moves that ByuN makes, can definitely be in a decent spot.
I think he just has to play a slow game and just do exactly what you said, man. Just parry the first few attacks. You know, ByuN, he loves to get aggro, but he does at times overstep, and you know that's really where a lot of these players will try to capitalize on that. It's why ByuN was such an exceptional player when he did become a world champion, because usually players like this don't. because it's so hard to actually do that against every other player that stands in your path in the world, you know? So we've got a big set of gates coming up here.
Yeah, he's on like 8 gates now.
And yeah, that's actually even more than I thought he was going to get with charge here. So maybe he's hoping that there's going to be a third base coming down or an attack that he just completely runs over with charge lots.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to go very heavy onto those charge lots. Like he hasn't even got gases at his natural, so it doesn't look like more tech is coming anytime soon. Getting a full scout here is going to finally see that barracks spec. Oh, that's where that was.
Yeah. And also get confirmation that there's not a third that's been started here. And, you know, there's a chance that when this attack comes out over here for ByuN, that it is going to get completely smothered by NightMare.
Yeah,
It's going to be a surprising amount of +1 attack zealots with charge.
Yeah. He needs to buy just a little bit more time here. Definitely needs a couple rounds. Where are those rounds? All right, there we go. 1 round just came in. ByuN picks up. Going around. There are 8 blink stalkers, so they are a little bit out of position compared to this drop.
So they're going to do a little unload over here. And so far, so good here. Gets a lot of kills. Now, keep in mind, guys, on the mini-map, another small force is going to come down here and try to hit this third base. Here it is now.
Yeah,
now,
that's not going to work, though.
ByuN kind of mismanaged that drop as well. I think he overcommitted a little bit. You just need them to kind of stay there a little bit too long and pull away. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to lose both those medevacs. And honestly, a bit of a clumsy attack overall.
Yeah, that was better for NightMare than for ByuN for sure.
Yeah, a bit too heavy-handed there from ByuN.
Yeah, it played into NightMare's hands.
Well,
I think.
NightMare went for blink, and you know when you're on a low number of gates and you have blink like that, you're basically trying to catch all the attacks that Terran have while getting out enough probes and developing enough of your infrastructure that you're going to be in a great spot, and that's literally what happened there.
Yeah.
He was able to do all that and stop the drops. And honestly, if you're killing both the infantry that come out and the medevacs, you're winning big time.
Yeah, yeah. Now, NightMare going to go across the map. He does have a lot of charge lots in here. Actually picks off the mines reasonably well. Some of them getting some pretty good connections, though, so he's going to have to back up. So ByuN holds on in the center.
So it looks like NightMare was going to try to take this little victory that he had and look for maybe a place to fight it. If he could stop Terran from being on a third base, that would be pretty big. But I don't know that this is a very welcoming angle for charge lots to come into. It's very bottleneck-like.
Yeah,
It's actually a very weird entry point for anybody that's going to attack. And yeah, I mean, when you see it engage like that, especially when you could stim and kite, I mean, it seems pretty manageable, right? So maybe NightMare wants to try to loop up to the top. I'm kind of surprised he's even still coming from this angle.
Yeah, he's like threatening it, but I think you're definitely right. He can't really take it. Okay, well, that's... Well, he buys time for this to get into the main. Okay,
yeah, we're probably going to have a big warp in come in here, but again, he's basically set up a gauntlet of charge lot baits if he's going to try to attack through that angle to get to the base.
Yeah, unfortunately for NightMare, there's enough units in ByuN's base that he's actually dealing with this rather quickly. And the Prism comes back in. Is he going to do another warping round? Doesn't look like it right now. NightMare withdrawing.
Like NightMare's made this very hard on himself.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know? An inconvenient angle. Try to push in on there. And then, like, I mean, the Zealots, they're going to be a bit of a nuisance. But let's watch this attack over here. I don't feel like there's enough for Protoss, man.
No, certainly not. Certainly not. He might just
NightMare is just having a rough rough evening,
Nah,
man.
I guess he won't, but like, look at the supplies right now. This is
Yeah.
he has bled off so much that all ByuN needs to do is stabilize for a second and go
Well,
across the map.
He's treating it like he killed off the entire Terran's army in that attack.
Yeah.
And that what, you know, if he really did do that, then it's time to move. But why would he have not waited for like Storm like this to come in and take a fight, right? When he had all these tier 1 units. Now he's going to start moving in now. Maybe NightMare's got a shot here.
Maybe. Like, he's starting to trade a lot better. A lot of very damaged units here for ByuN. Zealot's doing a decent job. Main army coming down. There are still Zealots in the main base. Huh.
Again, it seems like it's close, but maybe not close enough to actually kill him. Actually, dude, with these Zealots in here,
40
you know, a
40
second ago we were
dead.
saying that NightMare was going to lose this. Well,
I thought, well,
I'll take it back,
he was
man.
doing, it seemed like he was doing very poorly with everything, and then ByuN just kind of ate a few storms, and Zealots were in his main base. He didn't quite stabilize like he needed to. I really think ByuN kind of messed up there at the very end.
Well, it's like NightMare through and then ByuN through.
Yeah, a little
You know what I mean? I guess he wasn't expecting. Look, on some level, what NightMare didn't make any sense. You're like just attacking with Zealots with Stalkers, and it like if you see that, you would probably think, well, he's just not going to go for Storm then, because why would he attack me?
Yeah.
And then when he does the counterattack, there's Storm there, and he just gets.
Well,
nuked.
it wasn't time to counterattack. Like, you need to stabilize just momentarily. Like, and what that means is make sure the Prism is no longer screwing you, right? Because that is kind of the one big get out of jail free card for Protoss. So if you can block the Prism, like if you can like send a Viking and just get rid of it, then I think that you just group your army and you can kind of put your full attention in and do a little bit of a counter, because that supply, he was literally at like 82 supply against like 45.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Prism comes back in, and then he eats
game.
like 3 big Psy Storms with his main army, which shreds it.
Well, those 3 Psy Storms completely changed the way that game was going. So definitely like our rockiest game that we had of the day. I do think ByuN is still likely to win the series, but NightMare can definitely take it. He's shown he can take a game off Rogue. He took a game off ByuN.
Yeah.
But he needs to clean up his play overall. He's been wildly inconsistent in these games.
He has
in
been.
some of the games, he's had some of the worst engages we've had, I think, for this year. And then there's moments where he's playing very smart. His engages still are kind of like, yeah, you know. But I think he just, again, he's really a rookie compared to the other players in the group. But he's got potential for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you definitely see these little sparks of brilliance in his play, where he's got some really good ideas, some original ideas in there as well. But yeah, he definitely does need to clean up. I think ByuN as well is not making like really great decisions today. He's like, some of the ways he's splitting his army up, like that's twice now we've seen him do a double medevac drop and then try to attack the third, and it's like, that's kind of an old trick. Like, people know to split their army. No one's sending their entire army to deal with 2 medevacs. No one does that.
It's a very basic way to play, and that's not bad. It's not like you have to do the most abstract stuff ever to win, but it's pretty much been the standard for him today.
Yeah.
Power on 2 base, double medevac, drop somewhere. You know, I mean, it's a basic way to play. It's an old way to play. The fact that he keeps doing it makes me also a little bit worried here, because, you know, one thing about coming into a group stage and having all these different players you got to face off in different matches is that you're supposed to be able to show a variety of play in different matchups against different players, and you can really flesh out that you don't just have one build. Literally, that's why you have a group like this, is that it's not one build or one style of play that lets you kind of eke out a victory and then eventually later on in the brackets they figure it out. But I'm starting to see it a little bit here with ByuN. Now, he's got to do whatever it takes to win, so I'm not blaming him for it, but it's something to watch for. But let's see what he does. We're going to go to the final game now, ByuN versus NightMare,
2022
to find out who plays
GSL
out.
Season 1. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN, Team MB, NightMare.
Nice quick probe coming down. Pretty direct path this time as opposed to going around the map.
Yeah, you know, with NightMare, the first thing I'm watching for, dude, is like, is he gonna try something cheesy again? I don't think it's wrong if he does something cheesy again here, but then the next question I'm gonna ask is it gonna work? You know, because it's so far never worked.
Yeah.
And ByuN, you know, it's turning out to be a group where he really only has to know one matchup to get out, right? It's that happens with groups like this, right? Where it's like, okay, well, it could have been, you know, could have been TVZ as well. It wasn't. But he also hasn't really branched out at all. I'm not saying that he has to take a third or anything, but there is a repetitiveness, right? It's kind of a big difference between when you see ByuN playing nowadays and then you watch like a Maru, you know?
Yeah.
Or the way TY used to approach it, where they had like such a different handle on Terran in each matchup against each player on each map.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different time, right? The four horsemen of Terran are really no more. It's two of them are in the military. Maru's the best by far, and ByuN is a second-tier Terran in GSL at this point, right? Like, there's no question in my mind that Ryung is better than him right now. Bunny is better than him right now. So
yeah, I would agree. I mean, we could see ByuN come back. We could see ByuN one day win a GSL, but right now the play style doesn't seem to be as developed.
Some of the decision making that we're seeing from him, I'm concerned with these two medevacs going off to the side. You actually have an army that could maybe do something, maybe whittle down some of these charge lot based compositions he's up against, and he splits, and everything doesn't do quite what he was looking for, and it kind of plays into his opponent's hands. So yeah, just I'm hoping that he kind of fixes that. He is playing a little bit differently here. That's a really quick concussive shells, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And he might be trying to come in here and do a little bit of pressure with that.
He might just be looking to catch units. Okay, well that...
Try to catch out of depth and then slow him down. And
yeah, sometimes there have been some cool quick concussive shell openers to punish, you know, early like stalker pressure and stuff in the past. Doesn't look like he's going to get anything out of it here. Oh, Dark Shrine.
Okay.
NightMare seeming determined to make Dark Shrine work today.
Yeah, well, he's had enough rounds where it's gone poorly. Maybe this is going to be his moment, Artosis.
It might be. It might be.
They got to work sometime.
It's hard to imagine this one getting canceled, honestly. It's in his main base. Even if it gets scattered, I think you let it finish.
Yeah. So on ByuN's side, we're seeing development for what looks like a Widow Mine drop coming up here. And again, man, I mean, it's funny, that last game was really very telling for both the players. Because there was a lot of sloppy moments on either side.
Yeah. Hey, watching this series, it does make me think that Zoun is going to be going through.
Yeah, yeah. Zoun just seems like a cleaner player.
Yeah.
Like he's got more precision.
And that
his
really,
decision-making's better.
It really, really, really matters in StarCraft 2 to just have cleaner games. Okay, he scouts the Dark Shrine.
It's gonna.
He finished it.
He finished it. What?
Dark Cancel.
Now it's gonna be Dark Finish.
I know, that's not a good nickname. That's most people.
I actually think Dark Finish is probably better than Dark Cancel, to be honest. Honest, as a name.
It might be. Probably as a strategy as well, honestly. All right, DT. Gonna be dropped off over here. We'll see what it gets done. There's a Viking on the way already and 2 turrets, so it's really hard to imagine the DT really doing much of anything. Look at that. Very good catch. Gets out of there immediately. Now let's see if this mine drop can pick off some probes.
Oh, God. He doesn't even see! Oh, no! And you could see the moment that the medevac picked up, you saw NightMare's head turn. He realized what happened.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's as good as the Widow Mine drop gets. I mean, a lot of times players are kind of doing the drop with the expectation of all the probes get away, but you interrupt mining.
Yeah.
Maybe you get 3 probes. Maybe you get a good shot to connect with, 4, something like that. But that was a disaster. And that also shows that NightMare wasn't really as focused.
Yeah.
But I mean, the time the Widow Mine drops is always around the same time. Like, you can use the game clock to your advantage. So
absolutely,
I think some of this is just nerves kind of
might be
unraveling.
Yeah. One thing I have to mention here, if you take a look, it's a 3rd Nexus and Colossus tech and Blink. And this is after a DT drop that didn't do anything. Generally, what you see after a DT opener, almost no matter what, is at least one Immortal pop out to give a little bit more stability to your army. So right now, NightMare is going to have an incredibly soft army. Like, really, really soft. No real tankiness to it.
Yeah.
So I look at this situation, and I really want to see from ByuN just a full push. Not splitting. Go up and push.
I think you're right. I think you're totally right here. If ByuN splits it into 2, it's like, what are you doing? You can just kill him.
Yeah. If he responds right, then you don't do anything. And, I mean, obviously there's potential for ByuN to get stuff done with the split. But really, if he just brings all of his forces to bear, it's going to be a squishy army. It's like NightMare's being pretty greedy here.
Well, we see the push coming out, and it looks like it's all going to stay for him together here. Oh, what was I talking about?
Tasteless.
Tasteless.
Why,
tasteless.
Why fight 3 Stalkers, a Sentry Assault, and a Colossus when you can split everything up?
This is truly weird, actually.
Like, look at that army, Taste. That is like, it's 5 units. He has 5 units. I dare say that the full army of ByuN would beat 5 units.
Well, this is the thing about ByuN's play in this game. It's like he's doing the same thing regardless of the circumstances of the games themselves. Like, as more Colossi get out, the Protoss army gets stronger, but I do feel like there was an ample moment to come in and really do some direct damage, like by actually taking a fight. I mean, this is a game where you killed a dozen probes and got away scot-free. But yeah, he's going to go back with that kind of style regardless of whatever, decisions he made that impacted the game earlier on.
Yeah, my gosh. Well, he's harassing some. He did get a few probes up there, some pylons, the gas. ByuN is taking a 3rd. But I think that window that he had is now definitely closed. You're right, he's kind of copy-pasting what he wants to do, like every game, no matter what has occurred, because it's been different scenarios every time, and every time he loads up 2 medevacs, then tries to do something with the rest of the army.
It's not that loading up 2 medevacs with stuff is bad, it's that, everything that happens earlier on in the game ripples into the later part of the game, and so it just seemed like there was a good moment to attack in. He's going to set it up again. I do think there's a chance he could just take a fight coming up here. He's going to drop right on top of that Colossus. And it looks like it's not going to be killed off.
Yeah, the overcharge does some work right there.
But now he's going to push up. I think that observer might have spotted that.
Yeah, I think
he
so.
sees it now for sure.
He's going to maneuver around a bit. He has some force fields in here, I believe, right? Yeah. And his army's getting bigger. He's got a couple Colossi. He's got a Prism for juggling. 3 Colossi even. Yeah.
Another drop over here at the natural.
His Guardian Shield here.
Oh, there's really not anything to fight back those Vikings.
I think he has to give up the space.
They're still continuing to do damage over to those Colossi. He's got into this position. Oh, we see a DT there. I think he scanned and killed that, though. Another drop over here at the 3rd. Right, ByuN trying to jump on top of everything now, but this is yeah, he went a little bit far in front of those siege tanks, pulls back now. Just going back and forth over and over and over, trying to get, tax that multitasking here of NightMare. But, the 4th base going down is not the end of the world for NightMare, right? No.
He's retaining his Colossi, which is probably the most important thing right now. Oh, I don't know about this attack coming out.
Oh, this is kind of like that last game.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of an overextension. The Colossi remain just barely, but there's enough infantry. They start to chase us down. They take out 2 Colossi, and they could be taking out 2 more in a second here, both in the orange. Now just 1 remains. And again, it's like you take this moment that you have an advantage, and you gotta take a deep breath. You gotta go back. You gotta finish a macro cycle or 2.
Yes,
Make some probes, get some defense, get some upgrades, because the advantage is yours.
Yeah.
The moment that you could lose this is when you take all your bruised units and just YOLO it.
Yeah. It's very true. It's very true. And like
it's happening. He
attacked into the biggest arc that there was, and
he's not showing discipline.
Yeah. If you do wait for a round or 2 rounds, suddenly you have so much tankiness with 4 Colossus on top. That is scary.
You're building up the game to have these 4 Colossi.
And disruptors.
And disruptors that are just going to nuke chunks of the army. But you have to have the sponginess of the Zealots, and yes, even the Stalkers. You just need stuff on the ground. You need stuff that's going to, when they A-move onto the ground, the Stalker might take the shot instead of the Colossus.
Yeah.
Anything. But when you just, the moment that you kill off some infantry, you just start moving, you get a situation like what we had back there. And a moment where ByuN could be getting knocked out of the tournament, he's back in this.
Yeah, he really is. Definitely some mistakes on both sides here, decision-making wise. ByuN continuing on this siege tank heavy course. He is adding some Liberators, which I really like, actually. I think those Liberators are going to be very useful. Siege tank Liberator Viking. Really decent little composition for pushing. Looking a little bit tough for NightMare. He's down about 30 supply right now. And ByuN really utilizing his terrain. He hasn't opened up any of the ramps. So very hard to attack move with his Zealot force. Some great PvPs coming down here.
Damn!
Yeah, and it looks like ByuN is pretty close to breaking the back of NightMare here.
Crazy pickups there. He's going to go right back on top of those disruptors.
Yeah, dropping out everywhere. Very fancy stuff here from ByuN. Going after this other disruptor over here. We'll be able to pick that off. Shield battery's starting to fall.
All right, he's got this.
Yeah.
Max supply to 100. All right, man. ByuN versus Zoun, the rematch. It's going to be coming up next, man.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so, I mean, at the end of the day, ByuN wins, so good stuff. But honestly, I think Zoun is quite a higher level than both these players. Like,
yeah, I mean,
there's been a few too many mistakes. I think a few, like, he's not taking into consideration what has happened in the game and just kind of doing your own thing. And
I mean, I think anybody on a bad ladder day has done that.
Of course.
You know, where you find yourself autopiloting and then you go back to the game and you're like, why was I doing that? GG. ByuN takes it. It was a kind of crazy game. Not our cleanest.
Yeah.
Maybe our down and dirtiest of the season so far. ByuN wins that in a back and forth. I think a game of missteps where one player managed to kind of, in the few final moments, outmaneuver the other and get a win there. NightMare, I think he had a great run in this GSL.
I think he played all right today overall. For he has the least experience out of everyone.
I think despite some embarrassing moments, I think he had a really impressive run.
Yeah.
And we want to see him again next season, no doubt.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't mind to have some more NightMare in there. I think he is an interesting player.
The final match is coming up next, guys. ByuN versus Zoun. We will be right back.